Ladies and gentlemen, yes, this is your favorite show, Sports Unfolded, with your favorite hosts, Eric and Ron.
Hey, sports fans! Welcome to the best sports podcast on the planet, Sports Unfolded. I am your host, Eric. My main man over there, Ron. How are you tonight?
I'm doing great. I'm fired up, ready to go.
We've got a lot to cover. Special guest tonight, David Bortz, the president of the Rhode Island Soccer Association. Looking forward to speaking to him shortly. A lot to cover tonight. But if you are listening to us on WDJY 99.1 FM, Dallas, Georgia, thank you for supporting us. Check us out every Friday night, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and we are live, fan interactive. Want to talk to us? Join the chat. Let us know what you want to talk about, and we'll be more than happy to talk to you as well. Ron, we are going to start off with the leadoff story, and our leadoff story is after Game 1, the Boston Celtics were victorious 107-89 over the Dallas Mavericks. Your thoughts on Game 1, what we saw, what you think it means for the rest of the series?
Well, it certainly enlightened us on what the Celtics can do to really dictate how this series goes. Basically, when you sum it all up, they did everything we described they needed to do on the NBA show. Like literally, they took the plan and they put it into reality.
Yeah, they had 10 days off. I'm sure they were listening to Sports Unfolded and making
sure I'm sure. But, clearly Porzingis is an advantage. They can't really do anything about him. I just wish he could play more because he's missed what, like 38 games or something like that. Ridiculous, right?
Yeah, he was out, I think, 39 days at least.
Yeah, 39 days. That's what I actually meant. But that is, he's still got, 21 minutes. And he got 20 points in those 20. He was very efficient. And that was a big advantage right off the top. The fact that they basically held Kyrie in check. I mean, you're not going to stop Luka. I mean, he's going to get his. But what they did do, 1 assist.
Yeah, 1 assist. He had a double-double, 10 rebounds, only 1 assist, though. So I look at the glass half empty. And I know we were talking last night a little bit during the game, and I'm a little concerned with a couple of things. They shot lights out, which is phenomenal. Celtics shot 47.6% from the field, 38.1% from three. But we also know this team has a tendency to get three happy when they're not hitting.
Right.
So to do what they did last night, they're going to have to shoot 38% every night. I don't know if that's going to happen every game. You also held Dallas at 25.9% from three. Again, I don't see that happening again. So my concern would be, can you hold Kyrie to 16 of 19, 6 of 19 for the game again in only 12 points? I don't think so. I think they had some turnovers that concerned me early on. Luka Doncic was gassed or something in the first quarter, asked to come out, and that's when Celtics made that big run and basically jumped it up to 17 points. Luka plays a full game. They don't hit the threes as efficiently. I could see them losing a couple games in the series and making it much tighter.
Oh, absolutely.
Again, they played phenomenal. Porzingis looked great. But again, sometimes too, you have all this rest, all this energy, and now let's see how the calf reacts to now being in a game action. Is it going to affect him? I'm not as confident in the Celtics team, even though they won by a large margin, if that makes any sense.
No, it makes sense because, like, I expressed my concerns with Jason Tatum. Having the skill, having the talent to be the best player, he was not the best player. in that game.
Not even close.
He only had 16 points and a bunch of turnovers. And if that keeps happening, the trend is going to be very poor. You know, they're going to lose some games.
And I will say this, Ron, if anybody that's a Celtic fan will remember, they were up 2-1 against the Golden State Warriors, and we all felt really good about that finals a couple of years ago. We're like, they're there. And then all of a sudden the wheels fall off.
Yeah.
You have a dynamic player in Luka Doncic who can take over a game. And again, I don't think Kyrie's going 6 for 19 again.
No.
So I didn't see enough yesterday to make me confident that as much as people are like, oh, this is an easy one now, look at the blowout. There's too many questions in my mind. And again, a lot of it hinders around the three. We know that's Joe Mazzulla's strategy. Throw up more threes, you make more threes, you win the game. Okay. I don't know if they shoot 38.1% again. Like, you know, Sam Hauser, who's been horrible in the playoffs, looked really good last night.
Yeah.
Eric White, who was starting to struggle from three, made a few yesterday and looked pretty good. Porzingis shooting 30-foot jumpers. I mean, and making them great. I don't know if that continues to happen. And if it doesn't, and you get the same performance you got from Jason Tatum last night, they lose games. And
absolutely. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And if they don't improve the control of the ball, just the presence in the offensive zone, you can't just chuck. You can't chuck. You have to go out there and execute plays to really make the defense work and force them to make mistakes, force them to foul, force Luka to have to defend. Use all of your weapons properly, you know, because they got away from it for a while. They would fall back into a lax sense of we got this, it's over, you know, and then they just let their foot off the gas, and then they get stormed back on.
Right. Third quarter, Dallas cut it to single digits.
Yeah.
And I started to look at them like, here we go again.
I know.
And that's the spell you can't have, because you may not have a 29-point lead again in this series.
Yeah, because if it comes to a close game, I'm sorry, Eric, I'm taking Luka over anybody on the Celtics. In a close game, he's going to drain a shot. You got to be able to keep the pace going and keep a lead. And because you give him an opportunity, he's going to nail it. He's going to nail it.
I will say this, though. All 5 starters for Dallas, and I know we've been big on the plus minus in basketball now, all negative, and Kyrie minus 19 for the game. So defensive liabilities, right? Defensive liabilities from those starters could be key. But again, Boston has to shoot the lights out. I don't know if that continues to happen, but we'll see. Listen, very good showing last night from the Boston Celtics. Kind of what we expected to happen, right? 10 days off, good rest, right? Probably got some good practices in. Let's see if Dallas now comes out a little more aggressive in the first quarter in game 2, because I feel like that's what Kid's going to want them to do, is say, listen, we let game 1 go. You were a little nervous, right? We get that all out of the way. Now we play basketball. And this team's very capable of coming back in a series. They've done it a couple times now. Yeah. So fun to watch. Can't wait. Sunday, right? 8:30. Yes. Sunday at 8:30, somewhere in that time frame. So we'll be watching again. But Boston Celtics defeat Dallas Mavericks 107-89 last night in game 1, take a 1-0 lead in the series. We will continue to follow the NBA Finals until it's over. So check that out, and check out our Sports Unfolded NBA Finals preview show, which Kenny joined us. A phenomenal show. And everything Ron said, we broke it down, and honestly, we saw a lot of it last night. So I think we know what we're talking about, Ron. It's kind of cool.
I think so too.
It's kind of cool. Well, Ron, it is time to have our special guest join us. One Mr. David Bortz, the president of the Rhode Island Soccer Association. He's become a veteran of our show. I think this is his 3rd appearance, if I'm not corrected. David, there you are. How are you tonight?
Hey, good evening. Like listening to the Celtics commentary. I grew up a big Celtics fan, and
Yeah.
adding that, thank God we got a little maturity still there in Al and
Yes.
Eric White. I think that might be the glue that holds these guys together. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And Drew Holiday, who was a big factor in
no, that was
in
great to
them.
see, but who knows? It's the finals.
That's it. That's why they play the games, right?
True,
So,
true, true.
David, I want to thank you again for joining us. This is your third appearance on Sports Unfolded, so we're very excited to have you again and talk some Rhode Island soccer. We know the lot's going on in Rhode Island with soccer and a lot planned and happening, and we just wanted to kind of get people out there to know what's happening and what you're working on currently.
Sure thing. And I've been kind of absent from the scene for about 3 months, having spent the time in Portugal and Spain and seen quite a few youth games. Just of real interest, which I'm going to pass on some of what I've seen to some of our youth people. They know how to develop players. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
They're not different people born in the countries. They just know how to do it. I saw some under 12 girls players in the Algarve, Portugal, who I looked at and said, Jesus. First of all, I saw one that we'll hear her name sometime in the future. She's 11 years old, just playing futsal indoors, and it's just it's different. It's more like bread and water
Yeah.
in Portugal and Spain than it is here. But we're coming on. We're coming on. So tomorrow is going to be all that time away. Beside a big supporter and doing some work for RAFC in their buildup. I'm a season ticket holder. Tomorrow, I've been giving my tickets to a bunch of people in the community for the last couple of months, and tomorrow I get my first game in,
Oh, wow.
which I'm really looking forward to. I am also going to be very lucky. Tomorrow night, I'm going to spend some time with David Pert, who's the new president of the club.
Right.
Interesting guy. I have not met him yet, but looking at his background and what types of sports venues he's worked in, he's worked everywhere. And, he's done hockey. I think he's done baseball, football, and very much he's a community guy. I had some conversations online last week when I got back from Portugal with Brett Johnson. I thought I congratulated him after I saw the resume. And so Brett put David and I together to spend a little bit of time tomorrow during the game. So we're going to sit and chat a bit, get to meet him, hopefully introduce him to about 1,000 people in the soccer community over the next couple of months. So he really can get his feet wet here. And, as we know, the Rhode Island's a special place. You need to know who knows everybody, and you need to know who's playing stuff. And, it's a small place, but it's also, we're all connected well. We're really, everybody's closely connected. So I'm hoping to provide some of that knowledge to David. Our state association is doing fairly well. Our women's league is doing really well right now, the Rhode Island Women's Soccer League. And I sent a couple of stuffs off to Ron, but I'll just shout out just to them that they're going to be playing their semifinals of the women's league. And we've got some really good players in the women's league on June 16th, Deerfield Park in Smithfield. The finals for both the A and B semifinals, I'm sorry. And then on the, I think it's, let me just double check here. Yeah, on the 23rd, Tuckertown Field down in Kingston. We'll have the finals for the Rhode Island Women's League.
Nice.
So that there's some good players playing. Good place if you got a young lady in your family who's learning to play. Might be a good place to take them out and see some games. And it's fun. It's not the pros, but it's really well organized, good quality soccer, and it's a place where an up and coming youth player can take a look and see what it's like when you get 10, 15 years older. Everybody wants to play pro, but soccer, as they say, is a game for life, and a lot of people just keep playing and playing and playing. So
yeah,
that's
it's a great place to start. I mean, when you were talking about the Portuguese system that they have over there, I mean, that's a start, right? I mean, we have girls leagues and boys leagues that are really starting to gain strength now.
Oh, absolutely. And they've advanced over, when, going back 20 years ago, it was like U6, U8, U10. We still have a league in Rhode Island called the Superliga, which is, on that level. But as time went on, we developed into premier clubs. We got a bunch of big clubs in in Rhode Island, which have got older kids and teenagers, Bruno, Scorpions, Bayside. And then the really top level players are now been getting recruited to, by the Revs Academy, which is so there's some 16, 17-year-olds from Rhode Island who've gone up and played there. Actually, one of the players for RAFC, who is, I got to remember his last name, it is Kevin Vang, who is actually the nephew of a player that one of my kids played with, played at the Revs Academy. He's from Cranston, and he's on the roster with RAFC. So nice. We kind of came all the way up. The family is interesting. They are from the mountains in Vietnam, on the border of Vietnam and Cambodia. They immigrated here many years ago. So Kevin's a great player. I saw him play at PC a couple of times, and while he's not been this is his first year playing in the pros, but he's a local guy. A couple of other local guys there who were also involved with the club. This assistant coach who actually I coached growing up, whose name is Marcus Ugarte, who also played with my kids growing up and played at Bayside. So it's beginning to look a little bit like Rhode Island. Even though it's called Rhode Island, it's beginning to look like Rhode Island, which is a good thing, because we, as I say, I like Rhode Island, love it. I was born here. We are a very sometimes we're pretty small-minded, close-knitted, close family. Let's put it that way. This way of putting it.
I was born and raised in Rhode Island, 30 plus years. I had a conversation. I live in Connecticut now, but it was funny. I had a conversation the other day. It's like you can't go anywhere. It takes like 15 minutes. It's amazing, but you always run into somebody you know.
If you spend 15 minutes anywhere and there are a couple of people and you start talking, it's over. It's like you know somebody's cousin.
Absolutely, which is amazing, because obviously for what you do and what you're trying to continue to create, I'm sure that helps, because word of mouth is so important to make sure that people get out, support Rhode Island soccer as it continues to grow. So is there anything or outreaches people could look at? Is there websites or things that they can get some information on Rhode Island soccer?
First of all, we do have a website which we're trying to get upgraded with all of our schedules on it. It is a simple one. It's risa.org, www.risa.org. There also is a Rhode Island Soccer Association Facebook page, which is pretty vibrant and active as well. I'm the monitor on the page. So there, and then on the RISA homepage, Rhode Island Soccer Association, we're beginning to more and more get schedules posted, because we have some over 30 and over 40 men's teams, which I'll just give a quick shout out to on a couple of them who are playing. Let me just see here a second. I've got the printout on them. Shamrocks, who are Cranston Portuguese, who actually play out of a club old Portuguese club in Cranston, off of Elmwood Avenue. There are a number of games played at Gallagher Court. For anybody who knows Pawtucket,
I've heard of that.
Oh yeah, there's some really good games played there Sunday mornings, usually 9:00. There are a couple of Cape Verdean teams play there. At least two of them have some former pro players who play. There's also a team in the league, Real Columbia team, which has the dad of a kid that I used to coach, Colombian guy who grew up playing for a team called, I'm trying to think of the name of the team, not Academica. He played in Nacional, which is one of the biggest two clubs in Colombia. And he was a big star there. His name is Omar Gonzalez, and he's still kicking the ball. I think he's getting close to 50, looking still good. There are a couple of guys on some of the Cape Verdean teams who are they've still got it. It's a friend of mine also. I'm friends with a lot of these guys who play. Ernesto, who is a tremendous ball player, so he does a lot of coaching for Bruno. But there's guys out there playing still in this league who are also worth a watch. Either one, you got a kid who wants to see somebody who can do something really talented, or two, if you just like sitting out on the field and watching some fun, and maybe some guys getting pissed off at the ref every so often. But soccer is soccer. It's not too different from basketball either these days too. The basketball's kind of adopted that same attitude and flopping that you see in the big soccer. They're flopping in the NBA now. So I think things are really, really going well. And just soccer in the U.S. is is going on. The U.S. U.S. Soccer Federation has moved their headquarters to Atlanta because actually, the owner of the Atlanta FC, which is a pretty big club in MLS, is one of the billionaires. Put up some money actually to help them build a gigantic training facility. So all the national teams, from probably U14 up to the men's and women's adult and Olympic teams are training down there before competitions, and they move their executive offices down there. So the interesting change from Chicago to Atlanta, but I think it's going to be pretty good for the sport overall. Everything's going to be centralized. It's also a little better weather than Chicago.
A little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. And I'm not sure. I've had to go to a lot of meetings at the Federation. I'm not sure if I prefer Atlanta, Chicago. Chicago's an hour and a half from Providence, but when you go there, it's either boiling hot or freezing cold. So, so Chicago's Chicago. So, but there's a move there, and we've got 2026. We are now probably about 2 years only. I don't know how many days. 2 years, right? Maybe a couple of weeks from the World Cup in the U.S., Canada, exciting. And Mexico, and then so the next 2 years are huge in the sport.
Yeah, right. We got the Olympics coming up next month. Yeah. So again, more visibility for soccer. Usually that's kind of sparks the country's interest a little more. Do you guys use that at all as part of advertising the game itself?
Yeah, once we get close to the World Cup, we're going to start doing it also because we also see what teams are in it. Because at least on the men's side, playing adult soccer in Rhode Island, we've probably got players from about 15 to 16, 17 countries playing, I would say. Anywhere from South America, Central America, Caribbean, Portugal, Spain, Southeast Asia, West Africa, Nigeria, Ghana, Liberia, all over, Senegal. So the soccer, especially on the adult level, is truly representative of the world and the World Cup. The nicest thing about it, there are still kids growing up in immigrant families in Rhode Island area whose either dads or their grandparents or their uncles still played, and they're growing up with the culture. And some of those young kids are playing as well as some of the players, a couple of generations before them. So you see that also. I think I missed out. I think the RAFC also signed one kid who was playing for the Revs. I'll look it up and I'll send it to you. He was at the academy. He is from Rhode Island. His family, I think, is Liberian. And I think they signed him while I was in Portugal, where they loaned him. I think it's actually maybe a loan because he wasn't getting much time with a big team. He was playing with a second team. And I think they may have loaned him to RAFC, which is a nice thing. I was hoping that would develop. Sometimes it doesn't because of egos between clubs and stuff, or one team's afraid the other one's going to take fans from them. But I think that has happened. So the last thing I want to say is this, because you got lots to do also, is that we did have a change in president, all right, for IFC. I became pretty friendly with the former Brett Louie, and I think he did a good job. But I think that what ownership was probably concerned about is they want more. And they want more on the field, and they want more in the stands. They're playing in Bryant right now, which for some people in the Rhode Island attitude is like it's all the way over there.
Yeah, exactly.
It wouldn't have been my first choice, but I don't make decisions. I just give advice sometimes. I wanted them to renovate Pierce Field.
Very familiar with Bryant. It's not easy to get to.
No, listen, I wanted them to drop some money into Pierce Field in East Providence because it's closer to the soccer community. Mm-hmm. It definitely needed some work. Doesn't have locker rooms.
So is there a date where a stadium is going to be finished for them?
Yeah, it should be. As far as we know right now, I'll know better in the next month. It looks like they'll be open for the first home game next year.
Wow.
Oh, well, that's good.
Yes. Yeah. So that's right now it's Burns Stadium for the year, and then I guess it's Tidewater is what the name is for the stadium in Pawtucket, unless they name it after somebody or something. But it's Tidewater.
Yeah, so, I'm sure they'll get a sponsor.
If you have any influence on the naming rights, Sports Unfolded Stadium would always be amazing. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. You think about it. Is there anybody there's really, I mean, there's soccer guys going back 50 years ago in this area, but nobody knows the names anymore. So
Yeah.
even 60, 70 years ago,
So
soccer
now,
was gigantic around here.
are they having games televised at all?
ESPN Plus has every USL game on it.
Wow.
Wow.
Every. So I'll tell you, and I'll shout out anybody's watching. If you want to catch an RIFC game, also they're now there's single game tickets available. Everything was like kind of wrapped up at the beginning of the season. There are single game tickets available. So you can actually get in touch with the office. There are ticket people working there. You can actually get some, 1 or 2 tickets at the beginning is all season tickets. So now you can get single games. I'm sorry. So basically, you're asking about the stadium. I'm sorry. I just went off on a tangent.
The TV. Yeah. The TV.
Yeah. ESPN Plus. ESPN Plus has got every single USL game on it. So if you got the login, if you don't, talk to your buddy who does and share, because I didn't say anything about how I'm watching. I just mentioned you can. I have 2 former soccer player kids, let's put it that way, who are in their 30s, so they're on it all the time.
Gotcha.
Between rooting for Man U, which drives me crazy, and watching RAFC, they're always on TV, so we're always sharing logs. And the last thing I'll tell you, for nobody cares in Rhode Island, but I am a gigantic fan of Tottenham Hotspurs because I grew up a mile from the stadium when I was a kid. And they haven't won a championship since I lived there in the 1960s.
David,
like the Red Sox used to be.
I have one final question for you. We saw Caitlin Clark with her introducing the WNBA and kind of the hype and what it meant. And then we saw her similar with Messi with the MLS. Do you think we're going to start to see more international players possibly coming to the United States and playing, because obviously the TV deals and the all of the endorsements that they can get from the United States?
I think the real question is how much money some of the sponsors and vendors are willing to put into it, because there are a lot of guys over in Europe who are coming to the end of their career. They look at Messi, and Messi's not the only one down at Miami either.
Yeah.
They've got like 3 or 4 top level former players that play with him and saying, hey, maybe I could make that 20 mil for a year or 2.
Yeah.
So the money is there. When you start turning 33, 34, 35, and it's still there, I think it's attractive. I mean, you look at what Ronaldo did. He went to Saudi. God knows how much money he's making. He may be making 40, 50 mil a year. But he's a phenomenon in terms of.
Maybe they gave him an oil well or something.
Yeah, exactly. Who knows what he's got? So I think we will, but I think that the American game is coming. I think that World Cup. I think we're obviously not going to win it, but I think that the American team is going to put on a show. We may get to the quarters or semis, and I think that will be a turning point for soccer in the U.S. if we can get past the quarterfinals.
Outstanding.
I don't expect the finals at all.
And David, I did hear you're a Celtics fan, so I guess I'll end on this. Do you have a rooting interest? You want to give us a pick on who wins this NBA Finals?
I will say the Celtics, and I'll tell you one stupid quick thing is when I was a kid, I went to classical high school.
Okay.
It was before classical had a new school, so we shared a gym with Central.
Mm-hmm.
I used to play basketball in middle school. I was decent. And so I used to play in this intercity league that used to exist. So one day, some guys over in the gym came over to us. Some of the African-American guys came over and said, you want to play with us, man? I said, sure, let's go play. So all my buddies went over. We got killed by this gigantic guy at Central, whose name was Marvin Barnes.
Wow.
Killed, destroyed.
But you'll always have that story. That's amazing.
Yeah, true.
So, David, I want to thank you for joining us again tonight. You've been very loyal to our show. We appreciate it. Continued support for the Rhode Island soccer in all it's doing and continuing to do. So we look forward to talking to you again in the future. Okay, and if I can get some good stuff, Ron, that is really active or scheduled and stuff, we did message, so I'll send it off to you. Absolutely.
Yeah,
appreciate it.
I'll message you after the show and see if there's any other ways that we can help, promote the game.
Sounds great.
Okay.
All right. David, thank you again so much for joining us.
All right, go Celtics.
Yes. Once again, that was David Bortz, the president of the Rhode Island Soccer Association. Phenomenal. Such great
Always,
soccer knowledge.
always a pleasure to have him on. He's got stories for days, and not to mention what he means to the soccer community here
In Rhode Island, right? Yeah.
Rhode Island. Yeah, it's just
great.
amazing.
It is great, and I'm so glad he could join us again. All right, Ron, we're gonna move back to our show here, and we're gonna talk a little bit about the NFL. And big contract signed recently this week. Justin Jefferson signs a 4-year, $140 million contract with the Vikings, $110 million guaranteed. He got $89 million when he signed, which is pretty. Imagine that, putting your pen to a piece of paper and getting $89 million right then and there.
Yeah, it was pretty close to what I got when we started this.
Yeah, just a smidge off. $35 million a year makes him the highest non-quarterback next season. Is this a good thing for the NFL?
Well, I mean, probably not.
I think that's Justin
but
Jefferson
they're
coming
not
in
gonna.
right now. He's coming in here. He's coming in the door right now. He's not happy about it.
Yeah, I know, because he knows what's coming. Look, it's the NFL is going to be fine. The cost is going to come straight to the fan. Straight to the fan.
That's a good way to look at it.
They're not going to feel it at all. They don't care. Pay them all you want.
Yeah, see, this is where
from the fans.
I agree with you in one aspect. Yeah, the fans I love that point, Ron. I agree with you. But you're starting to get to a point where if you've got they're lucky they don't have a top-notch quarterback. But if you had one of these $50 million quarterbacks and then you put $35 million on top of that, your depth chart is going to really start to drastically come down. And I feel like these position players, he passed Nick Bosa for the non-quarterback position as the highest paid, who was making $34 million. But you're starting to see it. I think McCaffrey just signed like a 2-year extension for almost $19-20 million a year. At some point, these players are going to price themselves out. And I start to worry about how NFL teams are going to be able to put a solid roster together that's actually going to be able to do something. New England was very successful because Tom Brady took less money. It's been documented, right, so that they could try to pay other players. These guys making $35 to $50 million a year.
I think the salaries are getting ridiculous. They're getting ridiculous. Look, I mean, I wasn't even surprised that Jefferson got that, okay? Because when I looked at the list of what the salaries are for the receivers, I looked square at Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yeah.
He's third on the list with $30.002 million a season. Who is he? What has he done? He has done nothing. He has done nothing in this league. Okay? And he's getting $30 million? That is just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. He doesn't deserve that. He doesn't deserve it.
And I will say, like, we know the NFL salaries are not guaranteed, so they try to get their money up front. But he missed 7 games last year, Jefferson.
Right.
You start to wonder injury concerns, the amount of money they're going to be paying. I agree with you, Ron. I don't know. I just think that they're going to start to outprice themselves at some point. It was defensive ends, quarterbacks, right, with the guys. Now you're starting to see wide receivers creep into the $35 million. Running backs have kind of taken a hit, but you see McCaffrey signing a bigger deal now, and you could start to question at what point do you start? And offensive tackles are always another position that they say everybody needs a left tackle.
Yep.
You're looking at 3 to 4 position players that you're going to be paying 120 to 150 million, and the rest of your team is going to be garbage.
They're just going to keep paying all of these players because once the contracts are up, if there's not many quality players available on the market, those guys that are available are going to get huge dollars because that's what the NFL teams do to get those players. And then if it doesn't work out, they just cut him.
Yeah, it's a
And
vicious cycle.
it throws the salaries all off, and they just get out of hand, and that's what's happening.
And they say most teams
But
now
again,
aren't
it's
afraid of
not. It's not the teams that care. They don't care because they get the money's there. And when it all goes to pay-per-view in a year or two,
more money
then
coming.
you'll see. We'll see what fans turn out.
More money coming. More money coming. So for his career, 60 games, he's played 392 receptions, 5,899 yards, 15 yards per reception, 30 touchdowns, 3 Pro Bowls, 1 All-Pro. Now the highest paid wide receiver in the league. I don't know. But again, good luck, Minnesota.
Who's their quarterback now?
Kirk Cousins. I don't even know. Who is their quarterback? Who'd they sign? Do you remember?
I don't know. They signed
I don't
somebody.
remember. Well, I'm looking it up.
Yeah, they're going to be good.
It may be pretty good.
Yeah,
They signed somebody decent. No?
Who was available that was decent?
They got JJ McCarthy. And that's who they drafted. If we got anybody out there live, I mean, feel free to jump in here. Let us know.
No, but I mean, that's who they got. They got McCarthy.
Didn't they sign I thought they signed a veteran quarterback.
Yeah, I think they signed somebody like
Sam Darnold. Come on. Oh, my goodness.
He'll be lucky if he gets 50 catches.
Sam Darnold. Oh, boy. Eesh, poor thing.
That's a contract that they're going to regret.
Yeah, I think so at some point. If nobody can throw him the ball, I mean, he's not going to put up numbers. But great discussion on the NFL, Ron, but we're going to move on to our pick and roll.
Pick and roll?
Starting 5. All right, this week, starting 5, we took 23 years ago, the NBA All-Stars from 2001. We had to come up with 5 guys that we would start from that team. A lot of really good players. I am first this week. I am going to start us off with my honorable mentions, Ron, and then I'm sure you can chime in with yours as well. But I had a guy I loved, I really did, out of Michigan, Chris Webber. As an honorable mention, 5 All-Stars, 5 All-NBAs did not make my list. Tracy McGrady, 7 All-Stars, 7 All-NBAs. I had to put Dikembe Mutombo on there. 8 All-Stars, 6 All-Defensive, 4 Defensive Player of the Year, but did not make my starting 5. Man coaching the Mavericks right now, Jason Kidd. Again, 10 All-Stars, 6 All-NBAs, 5 assist championships, did not make my list. And then my last 2, Karl Malone, not making my list, 14 All-Stars, 14 All-NBAs. And Allen Iverson did not make my list. 11 All-Stars, 7
I know
All-NBAs.
who you have then. You have an article of clothing.
Yes, as number 5. Yes, sir.
Because that is the only one that makes sense to put.
Yeah.
So it was interesting because I like doing 5 honorable mentions, but I had to have 6 today.
Yeah, there was too many guys that you really were debating
And
on.
let me tell you, this was not easy to leave it at this because I don't have Chris Webber on mine.
Yeah, I just been a big Chris Webber fan, and
I'm a big fan of Chris Webber. I like Chris Webber, but I couldn't put him up there. My 11th guy was Tracy McGrady, and he had to be on there. I could not put him there. The next guy up was Ray Allen. I had to put Ray Allen in there, and he's right there hiding behind Mutombo over there.
Yeah, and he's up here.
And he's up there. Exactly. Then I had Jason Kidd also on my honorable mention, and Dikembe Mutombo was right above him. That's where I put Gary Payton right above Mutombo. Because I put Allen Iverson, number 6. He was my bubble player. He was my
Iverson was a
bubble
tough
player.
one for me. He was, I was debating between him and my number 5. And I will say that I didn't go Ray Allen because he only had 2 All NBAs.
Yeah, but he had a couple of championships.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
And I think he's a hell of a player.
Yeah, no, he was. He really was. All right, so I guess we'll get into our starting 5 here. At 5 for me, yes, the glove. Gary Payton, 16.3 points, 3.9 rebounds, 6.7 assists. But the man was a 9-time All-Star, 9-time All-NBA, 9-time All-Defensive, a 1-time Defensive Player of the Year, 1-time steals leader, and then also the 1 championship. So Gary Payton was at number 5 for me.
Yeah, and normally I would probably rip you to shreds because of putting him there over a couple of other players, but they were so close. It was Karl Malone, Iverson, Gary Payton. I knew they were going to be there. It was just which order I was going to put it, and I ended up settling on Gary Payton. I mean, 9 All-NBAs. I mean, he was just a fantastic player. He did it at both sides of the court too. So, but I had Karl Malone number 5. I just think that it was just a little more for Malone. 14 All-Stars, 14 All-NBA, and I think the difference came down to he having 2 championships. I mean, 2 MVPs, not championships, because Lord knows.
Never won one.
Lord knows he tried.
Holy cow.
But those 2 MVPs were enough to surpass Gary Payton. But the 4 All-Defensive was enough to pass Allen Iverson. And that's what I ultimately went with. It was Karl Malone at number 5.
Okay. All right. At number 4, Kevin Garnett, 17.8 points, 10 rebounds, 3.7 assists in his career, 15-time All-Star, 9-time All-NBA, 4-time rebounding leader, 12 All-Defensive, 1 Defensive Player of the Year, 1 MVP, and the 1 championship.
I think we have the same list. Only mine has a little asterisk with Kevin Garnett because he's 3B.
Okay.
I couldn't decide. I literally couldn't decide. I'm looking at all these numbers and I'm like, I don't know who to put there. So what I did was put David Robinson at number 3.
I did David Robinson at 3 as well. So Kevin Garnett 4, David Robinson.
Yeah. So they were both 3 for me, 3A and 3B. I couldn't decide because I love Kevin Garnett and I love David Robinson.
Yeah. And I listen, Robinson, some more points, a little bit more on the rebounds, less on the All-Stars, but more All-NBAs.
Right. So
and then you looked at the all defensive 8 times for Robinson, 12 for Kevin Garnett. So you started to go through the 1 MVP again, 2 championships though for Robinson. That's why I put him a little bit ahead of him.
Yeah, that's why he's 3A.
Robinson. Yeah. Yeah, 3A. I like it.
Could you imagine having both those guys on your team?
Forget it. God. Any of these guys. Because at number 2, Ron.
Yep.
Kobe Bryant.
Yes.
Kobe Bryant. 25, 5.2, 4.7, 18-time All-Star, 15-time All-NBA, 2 scoring titles, 12-time All-Defensive, 1 MVP, which, again, we've talked about so many times in the past, blows my mind, 5-time champion.
Yep. Yeah. And I knew you were going to put him there because the guy at number 1 has just a little bit more, right? A little bit more across the board.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he has the 5 champions like Kobe, so you had to look at something else, right? And when you start looking at it, it was the 15 and 15 for All-Stars, All-NBA.
Yeah.
Kobe had more All-Stars, but he played longer.
Yeah. Kobe played a little longer. I think Kobe played 20.
Right. And that 1 more MVP
Yeah, made a difference.
Made a big difference. And not to mention the 15 all defense. And what was it? The finals MVP was also a big part of it for me. He had
And
3, Kobe
and
had 2.
and he averaged a double-double for his career.
And he averaged a
Right?
double-double for
19
his
and
career.
10. So great list, great guys. It was fun.
Like
So
those
hard.
top 4 guys right there
So hard.
just are they were far and away better than everybody else in my book. It
we
was
do
not
this-
close from 3A and B to 5.
Yeah, we do this a lot. And I would say this was one of my toughest ones because I just kept debating over every single thing. Like, okay, one more MVP, one less this, one more
Yes.
that. Because they were all so decorated.
Right.
Such
It
a
was
that was
very
that was a
difficult.
great All-Star game.
I spent like 2 hours on this list.
Yeah, that was a good one. That was a good one. And that segues right into our NBA talk, Ron. And Dan Hurley flying out to LA today, might already be there. He's meeting with the Lakers to possibly become their next head coach. Would he be the right fit, a right choice for the Lakers right now?
I'm at the point now where I'm just stunned about the Lakers because I don't think anybody's a right fit at this point. I think they just don't even have a direction. I don't think they have a direction because I can already see that this is the team that's going to draft Bronny.
Yeah.
And it's going to get Hurley a little upset that they're going to do it. And then there's going to be tension. I can see it.
There's been a lot of talk, right? The college, because the coaches pretty much, they recruit their players. They get who they want. So I get some of that. I will say this, though. I think this is a great move for the Lakers because I think they understand, listen, LeBron, maybe a year, maybe 2. I doubt 2. But I would say a year left. You're going to go in with a younger team. We know Dan Hurley is very successful with young players because of what he's done in college, that he may get more out of players than most. So I could see them as this is a future hire, not today's hire. The problem will be is how much of the BS can he deal with from LeBron and all this?
Well, this is just what I'm saying. I think he's going to regret his decision because of that drama. And look, I'm not sold that this team is going to let him choose the players that he wants for next season. I don't think he has a choice.
Maybe he gets Klingon, the center from UConn. Give him
maybe not.
So again, $20 million rumored per season. He's not going to get that at UConn. So the money may talk in this deal, though, because you're looking at probably a significant jump. UConn can't pay him nearly as much as the Lakers can.
Yeah.
So that may be a factor. But you look at his records too. He's won everywhere he's gone. Started in Wagner, 38 and 23, URI 113 and 82, and then obviously UConn 141 and 58, 2-time champion back to back.
Yeah, and you look at those numbers, like they're good with those other schools, right? But those aren't big schools. So when you give him the recruiting power of UConn, you can see how much of a difference that makes. He has an eye for talent.
And think about it. UConn's still not
he can
it's
get
not a power school, though.
Play.
And UConn's not a power school. If you look at the Kentuckys and some of the, like they're not in that boat.
No,
and he brought some great players to UConn.
Yeah.
So before we move on, Ron, to my knowledge, nothing's been announced yet. Does he go to LA?
Probably does. If he's flying out there, he's going.
Think so?
Yeah.
I think you're right, and a lot of people in Connecticut are going to be upset.
Yeah,
it's a tough loss. I don't think you make it up.
No, and especially it's now June.
Yeah, the season's going to get underway, and
they're going to have to work fast to try to get a coach, which they're going to pluck from somebody else's school, and then that school is going to be in disarray.
You know the thing, UConn though, Gino Auriemma, 5-year extension. So they had to put some good spin on something that's going to be happening in UConn.
He's been there forever.
Oh yeah, they pretty much yeah. They might change the school to his name. All right, great
Maybe.
conversation. We'll keep an eye on this story. Obviously, we'll talk about it as it continues to unfold. That's why it's Sports Unfolded. Again, thank you for listening. If you are listening on WDJY 99.1 FM in Dallas, Georgia, check us out every Friday night, live, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Rhode Island Broadcasting. You can check us out on all our social media platforms. You can see it right up there now. What is it? Patreon? Patreon, brand new. We are on there at Rhode Island RI Broadcasting at Sports Unfolded as well. So check us out there as well. You can become a member and help donate and continue to help our show grow as well. We will let you know later on in the show how you could become a sponsor of the best sports podcast on the planet. I know you want to get hundreds of thousands of eyes on your business every single week, and we can help you do that as well.
Just send us an email there.
Right there, right? ribroadcasting.media@gmail.com. Become a sponsor of Sports Unfolded. We'll continue to grow, continue to do great things. Help us vote to get our next inductee into the Sports Unfolded Hall of Fame. Jackie Robinson, Joe DiMaggio, Sandy Koufax, Ted Williams, Ty Cobb for the Major League Baseball Sports Unfolded Hall of Fame. And another tough one here, Bobby Charlton, Dale Earnhardt, Arthur Ashe, Rocky Marciano, and Mary Lou Retton. Again, this has been already. We've got tons of votes in. Help us vote. This Sports Unfolded Hall of Fame, the nominees are in based off of what the fans want. It's not what we want. It's not media. It's not these writers. It is the fans. The fans vote these players in. You can see on the right-hand side there all of our inductees that are currently in the Sports Unfolded Hall of Fame. And on the left side, you can see some of the athletes who have not quite yet made it into the Sports Unfolded Hall of Fame. But we are having so much fun with this as well. Continue to help us. Vote at Sports Unfolded Sports Poll page on Facebook. Get your votes out there. Get the athlete you want in. So important. Ron, we're going to talk some Major League Baseball. And the hottest team in baseball right now, one of the hottest teams, the New York Yankees. Juan Soto left last night's game with an injury. If you were Juan Soto, are you telling the Yankees right now, let's get a deal done based off of this injury concern?
I don't know how big of an injury this is. I mean, it could be bad. I mean, I guess he's been having a difficulty with his wrist for a while.
Yeah, they said the forearm, like a week and a half.
Yeah, the forearm. And I mean, I don't know if he's torn something in it or not. When he swings a bat, there's a lot of force there. And, you know, anything can go wrong at any point for any player. Look, I'm not a Yankee fan by no means, but I know it's surprising.
What?
But I do enjoy watching certain players play. And this guy is very enjoyable to watch play again. I'll tell you, he's so talented. He's one of the best players in baseball. And I don't know that it'll be a big loss for the Yankees as long as he's out.
I think concern would be, again, market value. How much does, again, it may be a minor injury, but you start to look at it as a player and say, hold on a second.
Yeah.
It could be something more serious later on, right? Now what happens?
Yeah, you never know.
So I'd be curious. Listen, 239 at-bats so far this season, 76 hits, 17 home runs. He's batting .318. 49 runs and 53 RBIs. The Judge Soto combination has worked so well because you got to pitch to one of them.
Yeah,
you just don't have a choice, right? So
this is what I was telling you at the beginning of the season, Eric. This team is better than what you think. If they get one pitcher that steps up outside of their ace, then
which they have, right? Because Cole's been out,
right?
So again, you start to, I mean, this could be very interesting. Big series this weekend, starting tonight. first pitch actually in a
Yep.
few minutes. We'll do our predictions on that as well later on in the show. But Ron, it is time for split decisions. Oh, a little funk there. Love that funk. So we have to ask each other two more likely questions, and we have to make a decision. So I am first this week. I will start us off. And my first one is on Major League Baseball. A lot of segues tonight.
Yeah.
More likely, Ron, to have a New York Yankees, LA Dodgers World Series. Deshaun, thanks for joining us. One of the two teams to make it. We're not sure, but one of the teams make it, or neither team gets there. You can ask us anything you want, Deshaun. As long as it's not about religion or politics, we are more than welcome to talk about anything.
Yeah, but he's probably going to ask us if we want, more viewers and stuff like that. But
you can of course we would. We'll answer. So, Ron, more likely New York Yankees, Dodgers. What is a rainbow baby, and where do babies come from? All right. So, more likely that the New York Yankees and the Dodgers face in the World Series, that one of the two teams at least make the World Series, or neither team get there.
I think one of them makes it.
So you're going with one team makes it, either Yankees or the Dodgers, but not together.
No.
Okay. All right. Cool. All right. What do you got?
Surprised you didn't ask me who, but that's
no. It's not, I just said one of the two. You can.
Okay. All right. Baseball.
Another segment.
Of the three pitchers, which one will finish the season with more wins? Who is more likely to have more wins when the season's over with these three pitchers? Ranger Suarez of Philadelphia, who's 9-1. Chris Sale of Atlanta, who's 8-1. Can see the joy in my voice there.
Yeah, I see that.
Or Aaron Nola of Philadelphia with an 8-2 record.
What was the question? More likely to what?
Have more wins at the end of the season.
Aaron Nola. Philly's hot, man. I don't know. Philadelphia just seems like the team right now that clicking on all cylinders. Like they haven't had a dip. I could see them.
I mean, you figure, when you have two pitchers and you're 17-3, that's pretty good. And I'll say a rainbow baby must be a leprechaun.
Okay. Let's see. Deshaun, you let us know. As long as it's, family.
Appropriate.
Family. Yeah. So it's got to be appropriate. You can put it in the chat. All right, Ron, my second split decision. More likely to get back to the playoffs this season. The Cincinnati Bengals, the Jacksonville Jaguars, or the Seattle Seahawks. All were in the playoffs 2 years ago, missed it last season.
I'm going to say Seattle. I think it's just easier to make the playoffs in the NFC right now. I don't think there's as many good teams.
Okay. So Bengals out, Jaguars out.
I'm not saying they're out. I'm just saying
possibly
it's easier.
More likely
it's going to be Seattle.
I like it. Okay. I did not see you going that route. Good.
I don't see Jacksonville going. I do see Cincinnati being able to go, but, right now they have some issues.
Who needs wide receivers? Look at New England, how well we do it on them. No, probably not. Ron, your second split decision.
I was watching highlights of Tom Brady, one morning, and I'm watching all his touchdowns for his career. So it was a pretty long video.
4 months later. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's on pause. I haven't finished. But there were some really bad receivers that he had playing like almost an all-star caliber.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Okay, so my final split decision. Which goaltender will finish with a better save percentage? Sergei Bobrovsky, who is 908, or Stuart Skinner at 897? I guess this is going to tell you who
Who you
wins,
picking?
really.
Because that's our next segue. Really good, Ron. The NHL. I'm gonna go Bobrovsky. And I just think that Florida is going to be able to put some points up. I still don't trust Edmonton's defense.
Okay.
So it's going to be a tough series. I'll be honest with you, though. It's a tough one to call. But that brings us to our NHL conversation, which we're kind of excited about. Yeah, because I know Ron, my hockey guy, this is the matchup you were looking forward to.
Oh, yeah, this is the one, right?
So Stanley Cup.
Well, it wasn't going to be Boston and Vancouver.
Yeah. Begins tomorrow, Edmonton Oilers versus the Florida Panthers. Your thoughts on this series? So obviously the number 2 scoring team in the playoffs, the postseason, Edmonton, 3.50 goals for, 37.1% on the power play, number 1 overall. But then Florida, 4th in goals for. You don't think about Florida as the scoring team. You sit back, but 3.24 goals per game. And they're 2nd in goals against at 2.29. So defensively, they're very good.
Yeah, also, it's their style that they play.
They also lead 207 penalty minutes. So I know that's one of the things that you don't like, right? They kind of cheap shot. They kind of try to get away with, see how much they could get away with. Which style is going to work in the in the finals here, Ron?
Yeah, well, okay. So here's the thought, right? Okay, so they face the Boston Bruins, who have a pretty solid defense, and they couldn't get any shots. Okay. Then they go in and do the same thing to the Rangers, maybe worse. I think the Rangers looked worse than the Bruins at times, and then if Dallas would have came out, I think it would have been the same thing. So you're looking at these goaltenders, Swayman, Shesterkin, they were the best 2 goaltenders of the playoffs. Clearly the best 2.
I don't mean to interrupt. I did look up Rainbow Baby. And it is when a parent or parents have lost a child, the next baby that's born, they consider a rainbow baby because it brings some joy again and back into. So that the rainbow baby is an actual very good thing. So, I don't know about where babies come from. You may want to just Google it and it'll clearly tell you how that happens. We're educational here, but more sports related educational. But great question, Deshaun, and I like that. I've never heard that expression before. So
I guess I was wrong about it being a leprechaun.
Yeah, it's a rainbow baby is a child born after a parent or parents have experienced a pregnancy loss.
All right.
So that was a great one. Good one. All right. I'm sorry. Get back to the NHL Stanley Cup.
Yeah. So, when you're going out of the playoffs, like the way the Bruins and the Rangers did, you have to wonder what kind of a team would actually be able to play against, Florida's defense. They just smother you in the neutral zone. It's kind of similar to the neutral zone trap that used to be around, but when they clear it out, they just loft it out and then they go in and chase it. And a lot of times they do get the puck, so they put on a lot of pressure in your own end, and you kind of get hemmed in. Well, I don't know if that's going to work against Edmonton because the skill level is so high. you're talking like 4 or 5 guys, 6 guys that can really, really play incredible offensively.
They have 4 of the top 5 points in
Right.
scorers in the postseason. So you think about it, Connor McDavid leading all with 31 points, but
And you have
Draisaitl,
Zach
Bouchard,
Hyman
Hopkins,
and
most
still,
goals, Hyman, and he's not even up there as in the top 5 in points.
And they've played pretty well. Yeah, I understand the goaltending can be a little suspect. Last 2 games of that Dallas series, he was spot on.
I will
and if
say
he
this
plays like that, Florida's in trouble.
Florida might be in trouble just based on the way they want to play. 207 penalty minutes, which means you're going to give more power play opportunities to Edmonton. And Edmonton is the top power play team in the postseason. I mean, I'm sure in the regular season they were in the top 5 as well because they have the goal scorers that can get it done. You give them a man advantage, it's probably not going to bode well for you. I think Florida's going to have to try to play cleaner hockey, which isn't their style.
No, and I don't think they're going to be able to do it. And I truly believe that they're going to go against the norm of what Florida is used to. And I think they're going to be in for a rude awakening. And I don't know if that translates to a win in the Stanley Cup for Edmonton or not. But I like their chances.
Who was the last Canadian team to win? Do you know?
Well, it wasn't Toronto.
Wow. All
I
right. Well, there's a Christmas card loss for sure.
Yeah, no, because Toronto's terrible. Not Vancouver because they lost to Boston.
Last Canadian team to win the Stanley Cup, 1993, Montreal Canadiens.
Montreal Canadiens.
Wow, it's over
Patrick
30 years.
Roy? That
30
was
years?
Patrick, I think.
Yeah, behind Patrick Roy. 30 years? It's been over 30 years. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeesh. All right, Canada's
done. So I mean, this is their opportunity, right? Because if they can play some solid D and Skinner plays like he
Skinner
did
scares me. I don't know. He scares me. But we'll make up one pick shortly in our prediction segment. Again, let us know what you think about the NHL Stanley Cup Finals. Do you have an opinion or somebody that you honestly want to see win? Let us know. Put it in the chat as well.
I am rooting for Edmonton, though.
I know you are.
I'm still bitter about losing to them.
If you watched your morning program, we know you clearly don't want Florida.
Yes, clearly.
Ron, it is time for pick and roll.
It's time for pick and roll.
Tonight's pick and roll, I will say we kind of bounced a bunch of ideas around. I don't know if we still came up with the right one, but all these players scored 23 goals this season. Matthew Barzal, Anthony Mantha, Vladimir Tarasenko, Gustav Nyquist, Roman Josi, and Alexander Barkov. We are going to rank them from 6 to 1. I am first this week, so I will start us off. And I went a route, Ron, that I didn't think I would go. And you have, again, my hockey guy, have taught me so much that I continue to look at little things. And so when I did this, I was like, what would Ron do? So at 6, I went Anthony Mantha. So he's played in 494 games. He's got 296 points. So I know you're a big point per game guy. And that's how I kind of started to look at this list. So I didn't like the fact that he's almost 200 more games than points he's had. 142 goals, 154 assists, a minus 19. I'm a big plus minus guy. Hated that. Only 12 game winning goals. And he has no accolades at all. He hasn't won anything. So at 5, I went Gustav Nyquist. 784 games. 503 points. So again, 280 points off there as well. 198 goals, 305 assists, a minus 6. So these were the only 2 minus guys on the list. 29 game-winning goals. So they're my 6-5 pick. At 4, I went Matthew Barzal. He's played in 500 games. 442 points. So a little better, but it's plus minus 0. He's even for his career. I wasn't a big fan of that. 128 goals, 314 assists, 20 game winning goals, but he does have a Calder and made the all-rookie team. At 3, Roman Josi, 909 games, 686 points. And you're like, Eric, that don't make sense because that's kind of a big difference. But he is a plus 85 for his career. So I like that. 34 game-winning goals. He's been a 2-time All-Star, and he won a Norris. So I went Vladimir Tarasenko at 2, 751 games, 629 points, 293 goals, 336 assists, a plus 74. I like that number. 50 game-winning goals, 2 All-Stars, 1 championship. And then the man's still playing right now. Alexander Barkov, I went at number 1 for me. 737 games, 711 points. So he's very close to the point a game. 266 goals, 445 assists, a plus 123 for his career. 48 game-winning goals, 1 Selke, 1 Bing. I felt like he was the most decorated out of these guys and closest to a point per game.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. I also had Anthony Mantha at number 6. Didn't like the minus 19. Just not enough offense. I think he's a guy that has a lot of talent, but he needs people around him. And I like people that can do it on their own.
Mm-hmm.
So number 5, I also have Gustav Nyquist, minus 6. Didn't like that. I think he's a very good, serviceable player that can do a lot of things. And he's got 198 goals in his career. I don't know how much longer that career is going to last. I mean, I probably, in the way I'm looking at it, probably has about 2 or 3 more seasons in him. So he should make at least 200 goals. Should. But number 4, I also went with Matthew Barzal for a guy that's got all this skill and gets hyped up so much. When you look at his numbers, they're really not all that special. 128 goals in 500 games, that is not special. He's a good hockey player, fast hockey player, but he's at a plus minus of 0. I mean, you got to do more than that. I mean, this is a guy that's wasting his talent as far as I'm concerned.
Good season this year, though. He had a pretty good season this year.
Yes, he did have a good season this year. But
so you got to see more of what we saw this year from Barzal than in the past.
Exactly. And, you know, there's always going to be here in Boston the comparison between Jake DeBrusk and him because the Bruins passed on Matthew Barzal. And I get why. You know, Jake DeBrusk, you know, puts in some goals. He's playing on his off wing for 2 years now. And frankly, I think that's a disservice to Jake DeBrusk. So I would have liked to see DeBrusk on this list. Number 3, I had Vladimir Tarasenko. You had him at number 2.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I had him at number 2 is because Roman Josi is a defenseman.
Yep.
And his numbers were very similar as point-wise, even though Tarasenko has more goals, but that's understandable because he's a forward, and that's just normal. But I like Roman Josi because his game is just so good. And I put him at number 2 above Tarasenko because of that fact. He's got a better plus minus, and he's out there for like 25 minutes a game playing against the best players. So I like that. 2 All-Stars, 1 Norris. That Norris trophy is what put him over the top. And then number 1, like you said, Alexander Barkov. He is clearly the best player in this group. I love his game. He is probably one of the few players that I actually like on that team. The other one would not be Matthew Tkachuk.
No.
Nope. But this guy, I would love to see him in a Boston Bruin uniform. Look, 737 games. I mean, he can put the puck in the net. He can make sure that somebody's open. He covers the best players. His face-offs are just stellar. Winning a Selke and a Lady Bing. I mean, I'm surprised he hasn't had, some all-star appearances. But with the talent in the center ice position, I can get it.
I will say he's making a name for himself this postseason because he's definitely been one of the players that
absolutely
has shined.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
No, it was a good list.
So that is my list. We
Yeah.
only had one difference,
Yeah.
and it was splitting hairs.
Yeah.
Really, it was splitting hairs.
Yeah. No, I listen. You know what? I love doing these. So much fun. Let us know in the chat if you agree. Pick and roll.
We've had people watching. They're just afraid to talk.
I don't know why. But my friend, it is prediction time. And you had a phenomenal week last week. You got the bonus point for picking the NASCAR driver, the winner, as well. So that is 2 points for you on that one. 7-1 last week, Ron. Kenny coming in 5-1. I was 4-4. So tough week for me. Still have a lead currently, but the gap's closing, my friend. The gap is closing.
Yep.
If you are joining us live and want to get your name on the chart, just let us know your picks during our prediction here, and we'll add you to the list.
And you guys better start using our NASCAR picks.
Yeah, listen, we both had top 5.
Yeah.
My driver finished 5th. Your driver finished 1st. So we're picking top 5 drivers each time. All right. So we start off tonight with the NBA, Ron. Again, Sunday, Dallas Mavericks at the Boston Celtics. It is game 2. Boston up 1-0. And I feel like I'm going to jinx this thing because they stink in game 2 for the most part. But I went Boston here. Based on what I saw, I feel like they're going to do enough again to win game 2 at home.
I agree with you. Look, they got to follow the game plan, right? That's all they have to do. Follow the game plan. Hurt them down low and defend their 2 players. That's it. You just got to defend Luka and you got to defend Kyrie. Make them make decisions faster. And then that's what you really need to do. Yeah.
No. Listen. Watch Sports Unfolded NBA Finals.
Yeah.
Preview show Boston Celtics. We told you the recipe. You did it game 1. Do it again in game 2. NHL Stanley Cup kickoff tomorrow, Ron. Edmonton Oilers at the Florida Panthers. Game 1. Who do you have?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at it, it's like it's supposed to be Florida, right? But I think Edmonton's speed and skill are going to surprise them in game 1, and I'm going Edmonton.
I did something I never do ever, and I went pretty much all home teams this week, and I went Florida. I just think at home, again, I think their style may rattle Edmonton a little bit at the beginning, and then Edmonton will figure it out later on in the series. But I think game 1 goes to Florida. A couple of WNBA games. Big one tomorrow as well. New York Liberty at the Connecticut Sun. Sun is still undefeated. Liberty in second place here. 2 losses. I went Connecticut because if you haven't beat them yet, let's see if they can. How long they can keep the streak running.
That's right. I also went Connecticut. They're playing just so well. Everybody is contributing. This team is they're hungry.
Yeah.
They're hungry. I thought they had a team that they could have done it last year, but they're going.
Let's go, Connecticut. Also, WNBA 6-11, Ron. You got the Minnesota Lynx at the Las Vegas Aces. This is second place. Minnesota actually in first place right now.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna go with the Aces because last year I I took a lot of losses going against them.
Yeah, you bet on you bet against Vegas. Vegas always wins, my friend.
That's right.
I went Vegas as well. I think the Aces, listen, these are the games that they know they have to win, right? To kind of hold their dominance, back-to-back champions. So I think that Becky Hammond will have them ready to go.
She's a great coach.
She is very, very good. UFL Conference Finals. Believe it or not, the playoffs already. That is tomorrow. Michigan Panthers at the Birmingham Stallions. We are big Stallions fans. They're 9-1 on the season. I'm going Stallions. How do you go against them?
Oh, yeah. I'm not going against them. I'm going to ride the Stallion all the way to the end.
Very good. Very good, my friend.
You know, that wasn't even planned.
No, I'm sure. Listen, you're just that good.
As soon as I said it, I'm like, oh, that's pretty good.
That is. I was right to the championship. Also on 6-9, you've got the San Antonio Brahmas at
Brahmas. It's just Brahmas. There's
Brahmas?
no A in between the
Oh,
H
there
and
isn't.
the M.
Brahmas. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. Brahmas at the St. Louis Battlehawks. I don't know. UFL Conference Finals. This is to go to the finals. So
Isn't the Brahmas the team that actually beat the Stallions?
That was.
So we're gonna go St. Louis Battlehawks.
Yeah, St. Louis as well. St. Louis, very good team.
It is a very good team.
They've played really well. And I went Seattle, St. Louis as well. So you think about St. Louis versus Birmingham is what we think will be the UFL finals.
That's right.
Ron, first pitch probably just happened a little while ago. Started tonight. Los Angeles Dodgers at the New York Yankees, 3-game set. Yankees playing so well. I don't know if this Soto thing hurts him a little bit. But I went New York. I went the Yankees here. I just think
it's
in the
tough to
Bronx.
go against them, right? They just had back-to-back sweeps.
8 games straight. 8-game winning streak.
They're playing pretty well, unfortunately. But I'm going the Dodgers. I think with Soto out of the lineup, I think that's going to be a little bit easier for the pitching staff to possibly pitch around Judge. And I like LA's chances.
All right.
Mookie, let's go. 5 home runs in the series.
This Sunday, pay attention if you're a NASCAR fan, because we're going to give you a top 5 driver. It's almost a guarantee now here on Sports Unfolded. The Toyota Save Mart 350 in Sonoma. Ron, we need a top 5 driver. Who do you have?
Yeah, I just have this feeling of this driver's going to come through. I could go with like the favorite Truex, who's won 4 of them, right? I'm going Christopher Bell. I think he's going to pull it out, and I think he's going to win.
Christopher Bell. Okay. We're both going to pick. See, I've never picked this gentleman either. I'm going Daniel Suarez. He's done really well the last few years. And I think he gets a victory here. So Daniel Suarez.
Pull that one off, I'll be impressed. Pull that one off, I'll be impressed.
See that coming at you, did you? That's our prediction segment. Again, if you join us live every Friday night, 6 p.m., we do our prediction segment. You too can pick the games and get your name on our Sports Unfolded prediction
Sounds like
chart.
A video game thing.
Suarez. So, Ron.
Mexican Western.
We've had a great show. We've talked some soccer with David Bortz. We've kind of covered every sport. We've talked about the NHA finals. We've talked about the NBA finals. But it is time for our final thoughts. And before we get into our final thoughts, we always like to tell everyone out there how they can get their name on that banner and get hundreds of thousands of eyes and ears on their business every single week.
There you have it right there, the email. That's all you need to do is send us an email. We can send you out the information you need to sponsor this awesome show. And let me tell you, the views have been piling up. And
Best
we get
sports
a
podcast.
lot of people listening on the radio also. So you want to get in on this. Just send us that email to ribroadcasting.media@gmail.com. It costs less than going to your local coffee shop, buying a large iced coffee with a cinnamon roll.
Might not have iced coffee someplace. You know, I moved to Florida for a few years, and they didn't have lemonade, frozen lemonade.
Yeah,
In
because
Florida.
they don't, yeah, no.
You would think.
Dells
Florida,
is an
right?
up here thing.
Yeah, right. Like it drove me nuts. I'm like, how do you not have? It's 90 something degrees out. I want a frozen lemonade. I couldn't get in Florida.
No,
It doesn't exist.
no.
It blew my mind. But anyway, I move on. So again, hundreds of thousands of eyes, ears on your business every single week. Become a sponsor of Sports Unfolded. Again, we are on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, you name it, we're on it. All the audio platforms, Patreon as well now. Patreon. I don't Pat. It says Pat
Rion.
Yeah. Patreon as well. We are on Spotify, Google, Amazon, Red Circle, TuneIn as well on audio platforms. So again, you not only have to watch our pretty faces, you can also listen to our wonderful voices as well. Follow us on all our social media platforms at Sports Unfolded, at RI Broadcasting. Again, we're on Twitter, Facebook, MeWe, some great things. Continue to like, share, and follow our show. We continue to ask for stars and bits as well. Buy me a coffee. So many different ways you can sponsor our show and continue to help us grow. Again, to Ron's point, a lot of views coming through now for Sports Unfolded. So we're really excited about what we've been able to do and continue to grow. Again, I want to thank David Bortz for, bringing us, some insight on the Rhode Island soccer atmosphere, what's going on in Rhode Island when it comes to soccer. A lot of great things happening there. So continue to support them as well as they continue to grow. But Ron, it is final thoughts time. And our final thoughts don't necessarily have to be about anything sports related. It could be about anything going on in the world today. I do have two that I want to cover. I know you love it, and I do it.
Better not take mine.
So my first one is Patty Gasso. Who's Patty Gasso? She is another great coach that we need to start to recognize as one of the greats, the GOATs. She has won her fourth straight national title in women's softball with the Oklahoma Sooners. She has coached for 30 seasons and has won 8 championships in that time. Ron, you ready for this record? 1,515 and 352 and 2 ties.
Wow.
1,500 victories.
Wow.
Needs to be on the Mount Rushmore of coaches. You don't go that long and have that many victories without being one of the best. Hopefully she starts to get recognized. Again, she's done something in college sports that most teams have never done. 4 straight national championships. So congratulations to Oklahoma Sooners women's softball, and also Patty Gasso. What a phenomenal record and a great career. 30 years. What an outstanding coach. Needs to be on the Mount Rushmore of coaches. My second one, real quick. Doris Burke broke some barriers last night. First female analyst to ever do a men's finals or championship game. She is phenomenal on ESPN. I enjoy watching and listening to her because I think she has such good insight on basketball, and I don't even think of it as a male-female thing. But just congratulations on that, breaking that barrier. Well deserved. She is phenomenal, and makes the game so enjoyable. So I just thought that was something great that she did for sports in general, because I'm tired of the women's thing. Just listen. If you can call a game, I think. And she's done it better than most. So congratulations on breaking that barrier. That's my final thoughts.
That's very good. All right. Be prepared. Strap in.
I'm doing the Jaylen Brown. Did you see him? He puts the seatbelt because he's locking you in.
With all of the stories going on with Caitlin Clark and, Kennedy and all the whole bit, right? Well, people just couldn't leave it alone that don't need to be talking, basically. So now the big thing is now they're letting, Antonio Brown and RG3 comments and stuff like that. And RG3 is really an idiot, okay? First of all, he was all for Caitlin Clark when she first came into the league, right? And then now all of this is happening, and now he's doing an about face. And I can't think of who he said that it was because of her. Diana Taurasi.
Oh, Taurasi.
Say, oh, if it wasn't for Diana Taurasi, you wouldn't be here, blah, 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 blah. Well, right. And if it wasn't for Michael Vick, you wouldn't have been there. Oh, wait a minute. No, you weren't really there because you stunk. You stunk as a player. So you weren't really there. So I can see how you would misinterpret all of this that's going on. And, you just want to put your name out there so that way people can start talking about you again. Well, you earned that right, but you're a buffoon. And, you just painted a bigger target on her, and you should keep your mouth closed. And Antonio Brown has nothing that he could say that means anything to this world. Okay. I mean, that guy is just a waste of skin at this point. So they need to, really start looking at what they're saying. And, when you start singling out one player for doing her job and doing it pretty damn well, too, and she's putting bodies in those seats. And when your contract's up, ladies, you're going to make more money now because of it, because there's more people watching the games and they're paying more to watch those games. She's giving you a raise. So enough with the crap. RG3, go back into the hole that you were in. Antonio Brown, just leave the planet, please.
There's, I think, another billionaire guy doing the Titanic sub thing. And I'm not trying to make a light of what happened the last time, but maybe Antonio Brown should get in on that just in case. Oh,
my God, please.
Just send Antonio Brown. Let's see if it works.
He's a jerk.
He's one of the worst. And I will say this, Ron, I agree with you on the Caitlin Clark thing. Listen, so much has been made of, and now they're trying to turn it into a race thing. And
yeah, of course.
Can we just enjoy the fact that there's more bodies and people watching and paying respect to the women that have played? And again, Diana Taurasi, phenomenal player. She really is. But I think a lot of jealousy that's coming out in this, and it's a shame because ultimately at the end of the day, if you all work together, you're all going to get more for it. That's how I look at it. But who the hell am I? I'm just a, podcaster that has the best sports podcast on the planet. That is Sports Unfolded. And I want to thank
tomorrow. I was going to do another one, but I'm saving it for tomorrow.
Oh, I can't wait.
Saving it for tomorrow.
I will say this, Ron. We've had some live views, so I want to thank everybody that's joined us live. We were learned about a rainbow baby, which was really cool tonight as well. Want to thank again David Bortz for joining us and providing us with, again, his soccer knowledge in Rhode Island. We appreciate that each and every time he's been on. Like, share, follow our show, continue to help support us, donate stars, bits, do whatever you can, buy me a coffee, whatever you got to do. And get a sponsor for Sports Unfolded. It is continuing to grow. Want to thank SEC TV, Public Access Channel 12 as well in Southeast Connecticut. We are on every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. If you're enjoying what you're watching there, check us out Friday night, 6 p.m. And you can join our show live. Ron, it is always a pleasure. I cannot wait. Stanley Cup's tomorrow. That kicks off. You still got the NBA Finals that'll be going on. So we'll have plenty to talk about. And we'll see you all next week, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on Rhode Island Broadcasting. And all we ever ask for every single show is peace on earth.
Have a great night, everybody.